Hey, this is Demitri with the Demitri team, and I am coming here to talk to you a little bit about the listing agreement. So, whether you list with us or somebody else, I thought it would be important to help share the different sections and terminology within the listing agreement that you should be aware of that helps you. All right, let's go ahead and jump into it. Let's see, we're going to go right here, first page. All right, so let's start with a first section, which is seller and broker. So seller, you working with the broker. Now the broker is the company that as an agent we have our license with. So 99% of the people in front of you are the realtor. They are not the broker. Sometimes you have the broker who is, the person in front of you that is the realtor slash broker. They they actually own their brokerage. But in our case, we are realtors. We come underneath the statewide brokerage of Keller Williams. It's Keller Williams LLC, and the broker is who owns the listing. So we are the person that facilitates everything. We do all the work. The broker actually owns it. That's what the state of Florida has set up. The way that we operate as agents and selling real estate within Florida. All right, next one. Section 1 or paragraph 1 for us has the date that we begin to market your house and the date that we end. In other words, you've given us X amount of time to get your house sold. That ending date is called a termination date. That's an important statement to understand is termination date. That is the date when the agreement that we have come to comes to an end, and then there is an additional protection period after that. However, anytime your house is sold during this agreement, we get compensated for selling your house because we did the work to make it available, get the word out, everything else. And I'm going to show you in here where it goes. Now, let me tell you why I'm bringing this up. You want to do a 30-day listing agreement. I have heard many times, I've gone on many presentations, I've talked to many sellers like you who have had a previous experience with a realtor and it was horrible. They did not like their realtor, and it wasn't mostly because of the person, it was because of the actions. What they didn't like was, hey, they signed it up, but then I never heard from them again. If anything did happen, it was underlings, not themselves. Nobody kept me informed. I never had a sign in the yard. I never had any showings. Never had an open house. There's a whole litany of reasons, and the bottom line is they never got it sold. That also was the bottom line. I suggest that you do 30 days. Almost every realtor in the world out here is going to ask for 90 days to 180 days. They want 6 months. Some of them want a year. All right. We do 30 days. And why do we do 30 days? Because you know what? If we haven't done the job we told you that we were going to do, we expect to be fired. We expect you to get rid of us. Now, we also expect you to cooperate with us during that 30 days and not put obstacles in our way of getting your house sold. But at the same token, at the end of that 30 days, or probably 4 or 5 days before that, we're going to have that conversation. Hey, are you happy with us? If you are, let's extend this and we're going to go another 30 days. Or you might say, we like you so much, we're going to go 60 days. We'll decide on that conversation. But termination date is an important date to understand. All right, paragraph 2. Address of your house. It's the legal description. It's what's on the tax record. B is the property within your house that you're willing to leave behind that is not attached, meaning, it's not built in. The refrigerator has wheels, or the range has wheels, and, unplugs, rolls out the door. Microwave sometimes is just sitting on the counter. It's not necessarily bolted in. So sometimes that is an attached item. You'd leave it anyway. Dishwasher, again, has wheels. Washer and dryer has wheels. Not everybody leaves the washer and dryer. Sometimes, almost everybody leaves the refrigerator, range, microwave, and dishwasher, but not everybody leaves the washer and dryer. Other items you could consider. Yard tools, a lawnmower. You might have a grill, a nice grill out on the patio. Those are things. There might be patio furniture that you're willing to leave behind. Those are all items you could put in here that would make a difference to a buyer going, hey, I don't have to buy those items to move in, especially like yard tools, first-time home buyers. Big difference for them. All right, occupancy. Who's occupying it? Is it vacant? Are you in it? Is there a tenant in it? And we put that in. If there's a tenant, we need to know when does the tenant's lease expire. Somebody buying the house would like to know, hey, I'm buying the house, but the tenant's got 9 more months of a lease agreement in. I got to wait 9 months before I can move into the house that I bought. So you want to definitely put when did that lease terminate, so we can easily communicate that to the prospective buyer. Price. I have a video on price. You can look at that. I think it's important for you to watch that as well. Hopefully you've already seen that before you got to this point, but pricing is important. Finance terms. Almost every house, well, every house is definitely going to qualify for cash. Most of them are going to qualify for conventional financing. Some are going to qualify for VA and FHA. VA and FHA, especially if you're in an HOA, requires that there are sufficient reserves in the HOA, and a lot of times there's not, and so they get, that financing gets bumped out because of that reason. A roof, the age of the roof can also matter in that. There are other things as well, but just something to know. All right, let's go to the second piece. Percent. Now this is C, so if you look at 3C, come down the bottom, you've got points. In today's time, this is probably pretty important, and the reason for that is that interest rates are high. However, a lot of the mortgage companies are now offering programs where the borrower can buy the rate down. They pay points up ahead. It buys rate down. A lot of times there is a, we have a section in the listing agreement, as I'm pointing out, where you're agreeing ahead of time, hey, I'll pay so many points on this. I suggest you put 0. Let the payment of points become a bargaining piece when you get to the stage of having a purchase contract. Don't do it in your listing agreement. All right, next item. Authority. Do you want us to put it on the MLS? If you look here, let's see, where was it? B, I believe it was. Yeah, so 6B I. Seller does not authorize broker to display the property on MLS. Some people do not want their house on the MLS. They want me to market it. They want me to take it to potential buyers, but they do not want me to put it on the MLS. That's important to know. If you don't want that, that's fine with us. We don't have a problem in getting your house sold if you don't. The other piece is sometimes people don't want the address of their house displayed as well. They don't want signs on the property. So these are all things you can opt out of. Not everybody fills this part out. Most of the time when you see this listing agreement, they pretty much gloss over and go, oh, we don't need that because you want us to market your house. This will tie our hands. No, it doesn't tie your hands. It eliminates the MLS, but that doesn't tie your hands from selling a house. We have plenty of means of being able to get your house sold. All right, cooperation with broker. Let's jump into the next piece because I'm going to talk about that. This is where you cooperate with us. And like I said earlier, you don't put obstacles in our way. Hey, we need to get it shown. You try to work with us. Obviously, we're not like, hey, I called you up. I got a showing. I got to be there in 30 minutes. That's kind of a ridiculous request. We typically say if you're living in the house, we want at least a 24-hour notice. Sometimes there's blackout days. Maybe you got, we got holidays coming up, for instance. So maybe you don't want anybody in the house the day before Thanksgiving all the way to the following Monday because you got family coming in town, right? So as long as we're working together, you communicate that to us. We easily can put that out both within our schedules as well as if it is on the MLS, putting it in so other agents who might be calling us to show the house know that those dates are just not possible. So we can put that in. All right. You also have to disclose anything that is wrong with your property, anything that you know about, you've got to disclose. Now we have a totally separate sheet, and there's a video on that, seller disclosure. There is a line on here to put a disclosure. Almost every listing agreement we do has nothing in that. I happen to put one on here because I'm doing it for this video. I want you to know there is a place. Sometimes there are code violations on properties. Grass wasn't cut. The city came by and they said, oh, grass wasn't cut, and they made a violation. Grass has been cut, but nobody bothered to call the city to tell them to come back and recheck and remove that violation. So sometimes that's the only thing, and we might put that here. Most of the time we're going to put that on the seller disclosure. All right, let's talk about the compensation. So we get here, compensation. What are you going to pay us to sell your house? We charge 6%. We put significant money. Most of the time we're putting at least $1,000. Most of the time we're putting $2,000 to $5,000 into a property to get it sold. And that has to do with a lot of the marketing that we do. We do a lot of social media marketing. We buy lists for target marketing. We spend significant money in getting your house sold. And why? Because we're expecting to get paid. And part of that payment is covering those expenses as well as allowing us to earn a living. So that 6% is our number. On some rare occasions, if there's some real compelling reason, we will consider discounting that, and we will work that out on a case-by-case basis. But 6% is what we're planning on. If that doesn't work, then we may not be the people for you. Next thing is the time. Remember I talked about the expiration date or the termination date that was on the very first paragraph, right? So this is B, 8B comes to that, and that says that, hey, anytime during that agreement that we have, if the house gets sold, we're entitled to our commission. There's also a section here that says 30 days after termination date, which means that's our protection period. Hey, we did all this work. Let's say you renewed it a few times. Even if you didn't renew it, 30 days came and you decided, you know what, I don't think we want to sell anymore. We're just going to take it off the market. We're kind of done with this. Thank you for your effort and all that, right? 10 days after that termination date, one of the people that we showed the house to shows up, knocks on your door and says, look, Aunt Kathy passed away. We just inherited a boatload full of money. We'd like to pay cash for your house, and this is what we're willing to offer. If you accept that, and that was in that 30-day period, we are entitled to get paid. So that's what that means. All right, we did the effort. We brought the buyer. Yes, it wasn't during our contract time, but it did happen during the termination or the protection period after the termination. We're entitled. All right, let's look at E. E talks about deposits. We brought you a buyer. We went under contract. The buyer puts $10,000 down. For whatever reason, the buyer does something wrong. They did not fulfill on their end, and because they didn't fulfill on their end, the house doesn't sell. We don't close. However, their deposit does not get returned to them because they're not entitled to it because of their actions, the things that they did that says, hey, I'm sorry, you didn't do what you said you were going to do, and so we're keeping your deposit. If that is the case, we keep half of that. So you get half, we get half. We all did our effort to get the house sold. It didn't happen, but we're going to keep that part, and then we're going to continue on to get your house sold. All right, next piece. This is cooperation with other brokers, meaning, so obviously we're Keller Williams. Let's say that Coldwell Banker comes along. Actually, could be an agent in my office, could be a Keller Williams agent. Doesn't have to be Coldwell Banker, but an agent who represents buyers, meaning that's all they really work at. They find buyers, they look for houses for them, and they take them to show them and get them sold. If a buyer's agent comes in, brings us a buyer, we go under contract. At closing, we are going to give them 3% of the 6% that you gave to us. We're going to share that 3% to them for them bringing the buyer. So this is us sharing the income that we've made for them doing their part in bringing it. Same thing if it was in my office or somebody on my team. We're going to get 6%. The agent that did the listing is going to get half, and the agent that brought the buyer, if it was a different agent, is going to get half. We're compensating everybody who did their part to get your house sold. All right. Conditional termination. Now, what this means is that you've decided, for whatever reason, you want to terminate the agreement. I hope it's really a valid reason. It's not just a, you made me mad one day because you said the wrong thing. That it's really about, did we not do performance or whatever. This is weird on having a conditional termination. But let's say we do a conditional termination. There's no requirement that we do that. It says right here, it says if the broker may, which is the may, agree to a conditional termination if broker agrees to conditions of the termination. So not necessarily guaranteed. Now, in all cases for us, if we do guarantee that, we don't charge a fee for the termination. However, we do expect to be reimbursed for all of our direct expenses. So let's assume that I just spent $1,000 on Facebook ads. I spent $350 on the photos that we did, the professional photos, the drone, and the 3D virtual. those are direct expenses, and I would expect to be reimbursed for that. This is standard. It's every broker, so it's not when I say me and I. Every single broker slash agent does expect that. That's why we're going over this listing agreement for you. Dispute resolution. We can't agree on something. Well, instead of running to court and having a bunch of lawyers and everything else, we really agree in this case to do mediation. And if the mediation part doesn't do it, get an arbitrator. Both of those are impartial people. They're actually professional people. Most of them are lawyers or ex-judges that do this. We sit in front of it. We plead our case to them. They listen to everything we have to say. They go out of the room for maybe 30 minutes or so, reflect on what was said, and then they come back and they say, here's what we've decided, and we agree to abide with what they said to resolve our dispute. So that's in our contract. I just wanted you to be aware of that. Additional terms. There may be things that we want to agree to that are not in here, and if there is, they're going to go in additional terms. Most of the time, that is blank. There are occasional, especially when I talked about discounting our rate, we might have some additional terms on why we're discounting that rate, and if we did certain performance, that our discounted rate is no longer discounted because we went above the bar that we had to do to get your house sold. But that's where that handles in additional terms. Then you have obviously your signature that you're going to put on it. You're going to sign it. The agent who is authorized by the broker is going to sign it, put it into effect. Sometimes the broker could do it, but 99% of the time it's us as an agent. You're going to get an executed contract back in email to you. That's how we send it back, is to email. And then we are underway and we are going to get your house sold. All right, let's recap a little bit. So you want a 30-day listing agreement. That's when you want your expiration date, 30 days. You want to list the property you're including. All right, those are things not attached to the house that you could take with you, but you're willing to leave behind that may make a difference to the buyer. You want to decide what is acceptable financing. Most of the time, people say, oh, I want cash, I want cash. Well, if you do cash, you've cut out a lot of people that could buy your house. There are means of us ensuring that financing has the highest likelihood of going through. We can't guarantee it is, but we can certainly ensure very quickly that it has the highest likelihood of going through. You got to decide, are we putting it on the MLS or not? What our seller cooperation is, meaning you're going to work with us, what you need to disclose, that's it, the 6% fee that we're going to charge, understanding that conditional termination, that it's not required, but we may, and that if we do that, the direct expenses that you would be reimbursing us for, if we have disagreement, going to arbitration for the dispute resolution. If we do have any additional terms, that they go there. And things that are optional for you is, as we did on 6B, 6A, and B, list on the MLS, whether you want an open house, whether you want a sign in the yard, and even be down to, we do what we call circle prospecting. We go back to at least the 50, sometimes 100 neighbors around your house to tell them, hey, we have a house for sale. Maybe you have a relative, a friend, somebody that is looking to buy here in Florida, because many of our people come from out of town, that is looking to buy and would love to live near you. So we utilize those people to tell them about the opportunity, so they might tell their friend and bring a buyer. You might not want us to tell your neighbors. That's totally up to you. You could tell us that. All right, I hope this has been helpful for you, and that we get to talk to you soon. We get to put your house under a listing agreement and go out and get it sold for you and do it as quickly as possible. Have an awesome day.